Hello there. Just a tip here with another Escape from Tarkov video. If you're watching this, you've probably struggled to survive in Tarkov, or you just want to get better. I hope today's video will help you improve, as today I will be going over my top 15 tips and tricks that will help you become a better Escape from Tarkov player. Now, be sure to stick around to the end, because my last 5 tips and tricks are very crucial to my success in Escape from Tarkov. Alright, we're going to start with 3 tips that are more technical as they pertain to settings, keybinds, and etc. So, tip 1, set double-click item quick use to end rate only. So if you come to settings under game, double click item quick use to end rate only. So what this is going to allow you to do is not only be more efficient, but it could keep you from standing still too long and allowing someone to kill you. You could go to your inventory and you can right click and hit use on it, whether it be food or painkiller, whatnot. Let's say you're crossing through an area and you don't want to stop dead, because you possibly could get shot. So if you're running, you could jump, double click, and you would only stop briefly. If you time it just right, you actually wouldn't stop at all. I hope this tip will save you from dying. Alright guys, by a show of hands, how many of you have died to a weapon malfunction? That's what I thought. And let me guess, you just forgot your keybind. Let's put a stop to that today, just by changing one simple setting. That leads us to tip number 2. Set inspect weapon and fix malfunction to the same key using press and release. So, as example, I'm going to use my keybind here. Inspect current weapon, I have it set to I for inspect, super easy to remember. And I have that set to release. Fix malfunction, I also have set to I, but I have it set to press. So what this is going to allow you to do here is, every time you have a malfunction, you have to inspect your weapon first, and then you got to fix the malfunction. So upon pressing and releasing the I key, it will inspect my weapon. Upon pressing it again, it will fix the malfunction. And I'm going to show you that here in action. So when you get a malfunction, you'll see a little indicator in the bottom right. Just pay attention. See that? Flash red. So I hit my key once. It inspects it. Hit it again. Fixes the malfunction. I can resume my fight. Happened again. Super quick. No more having to remember so many keybinds. Don't die because of a weapon jam again. I hope this helps. Alright guys, stay with the press and release type keybinds. We're going to tip number 3 with set heal and heavy bleed stopper to the same key using press and release. So if you look here under controls, keyboard and mouse, I have my slot 4 set to 4. I also have my slot 5 set to 4. But I have the top one set to press and the second one set to release. So what this will allow you to do is, when you set up your heals, you want to drag down your heavy bleed stopper under your press and your heal, Salewa, IFAC, whatever, Grizzly, under your second 4, under the release one. What this will allow you to do, it will prioritize. Upon press, if you have a heavy bleed, it will heal the heavy bleed first. Upon releasing, it will do the heal animation with the Salewa, IFAC, AFAC, etc. I'm going to show you in action. Alright guys, so I have 2 heavy bleeds, and obviously I'm missing a little bit of health. I hit a green stem to kind of stay alive a little bit while I show you this. So I hit 4 one time, just tap it once. It's going to prioritize that heavy bleed first. I still have a heavy bleed, so I hit 4 again. It's going to still take care of that heavy bleed. And then I hit 4 again, and it will use the Soleil wall to heal my remaining body parts. All by using the same key without even having to think about it. It will prioritize the bleeds first, and then my heals. This is a really awesome keybind trick to use just to make it a little easier. I hope this helps, guys. All right, guys, for tip number 4, we have a very simple one here. Utilize display on bottom right to see scope magnification without ADSing. Now this one is super simple, but I see so many other streamers and players, they'll change it and then they'll look in to see where they're at instead of using indicator at the bottom right of your screen. So say you're sprinting around and you want to check what it is, it shows right there. A lot of people don't realize that. It's super simple, and maybe you already knew this tip, but if you didn't, I hope it helps. All right, guys. Up next, we have tip 5. Always use flashlights or attack lights when possible. Now, what I mean by that is, first of all, flashlights and attack lights will give you better accuracy when you're hip firing or point firing. But that's not all. In perspective, looking at my buddy here, would you rather have a target that looks like this or one that looks like this? It's going to be much harder to shoot and kill him with that flashlight in your face. It is very strong and powerful, and until they do something about it, you may as well abuse it as well. Alright guys, that brings us to tip number 6. Use caution on making noise during a standoff that could give your opponent a sound cue, i.e. ADSing, pivoting, checking fire rate. Now I'm not saying be a rat, but if you want to survive and be a tactical gamer and improve your chances of surviving, which is probably why you're watching this video in the first place, this will be huge. You don't want to give your opponent too much information. Now, ADSing is quite a loud sound, especially on the back end, the server end. And pivoting is another one. And checking fire rate, they can hear that, as well as checking your scope magnification. So there's a few things here that you can do to keep from making so much noise. So if you ADS and you're sitting here holding an angle and you're waiting for somebody to walk through the door, instead of un-ADSing and making that extra noise, if you do your overhead peek, Alt W, hear that? Makes no noise. Maybe you already knew this, maybe you didn't. As far as pivoting, if you set and just spin, it will make a pivoting noise. But if you're crouched or standing slow, and if you're moving, you can turn 360, and the only sound you're going to make is the small step sound. You're not going to make the pivoting noise. And as far as checking your fire rate, if you hit Alt and the fire rate, check fire rate, no sound, but it will tell you in the bottom right what fire rate you're on. And try not to set and click too much, because they're going to be able to pinpoint where you are when they have you held up. Same with your tactical lights. I hope this helps. Alright guys, that brings us to tip number 7, and this one is a huge one that I hear a lot of players talk about, that they have issues with. If you're playing solo or even as a duo and you're running into bigger teams, using this strategy will help you get through some of those situations. Now it's already, you're against odds as it is, so you're not always going to make it out of these. Nobody does. So one key point to that is don't overcommit too quick. So I know there's a team of, let's say I'm fighting a team of 3. I know there's a team of 3 out here. Don't overcommit and just straight run out and expose yourself to too many angles, right? So you know you're fighting a team. Say you pop one, don't stay here. Because if it's a good team that has any idea whatsoever of what they're playing, they're going to call you out. That's going to lead to nades coming your way, or you're going to get trapped. They're going to pinch you, push you, nade you. They're going to trap you. So as soon as you confirm that first kill, you get that first kill, go ahead and rotate. Stay on the move, rotate. Now they're over there looking at where I was at over there. Catch them off guard, pop another. Now you have one left. Rotate again, because he's going to call you out as well. Just rotate. Just stay moving, and they're not. It's going to increase your chances of survival. Like I said once before, you're already against odds, so don't expect to win every fight that you're outnumbered, because it's not going to happen. But I hope this helps you survive more of those. Okay guys, that brings us to tip number 8. Refrain from AD strafing. Inertia makes it impossible to use that technique without overexposing yourself for too long. Instead, try using circle strafing. So as you can see, straight AD, watch how I drift and I stay exposed for too long. That's straight AD strafing. Instead, circle strafe to get your info that you need. Look how much quicker that is. I'm looking over there. Circle strafing, AD strafing. Inertia just makes it quite impossible to not overexpose yourself. I hope you will use this, and I hope it saves you from dying. Alright guys, tips 9 and 10 are kind of working off the same thing, and it's using grenades. But firstly, when to use grenades and when not to use grenades. So you got to be careful when you pull a nade because of the new grenade mechanics. You have to pull one out and then click to throw, so it takes a long time to actually get that nade out of your hand, and if you're not careful, you could die with that grenade in your hand. And I want to show you what I mean by that. Alright, so I roll up on this guy, and I know he's trapped in this room, and I'm sitting here kind of listening, and he pulls a nade. Go ahead and pull a nade. I hear that. I'm on him before he can do anything about it. Let's say this door's shut and he has nowhere to go, no escape route. Alright, put it away, 11. Now, when you pull the nade this time, soon as you pull it, keep tapping your gun, to pull your primary back out, and see how long it takes you to get your gun back out. Ready? Unless I'm the worst shot in the world, he's dead. You got to be careful when you choose to pull your nades. You shouldn't be thinking of nades as killing people. You should think of using nades to push people off of a spot or to get information. I hope this helps, guys. Alright, guys, to the second part of that, to go along with the grenades, you want to use grenades to locate bosses or to force them to move. So if you roll up on bosses or you're checking for bosses, we all know that bosses have a distinct voice line. So that's what you're going to want to listen for when you're throwing nades, and you're going to be able to locate and potentially push them off of a spot and get them to move. Hear that? It's very distant, but Rashala's in there. All right, now you can also use that grenade to get them to move. Let's say Rashala in dorms, if he's in the bathroom, you just throw a nade down the hall, they'll come running out of the bathroom and just straight sprint down the hall and line up, and they're easy to kill that way. All right, guys, now for my top 5 most useful tips and tricks that will make you a better Tarkov player for sure. Coming in at number 11, use instant reload when healing or consuming items. Now, sure, you can take the time to reload and then go and drink your water or hit your painkiller or serve or hit your Salewa or your heavy bleed. Sure, you can do that, but that's going to take more time. You can be much more efficient if you hit, say I want to hit a painkiller. Go up to a mag, you right click and you click install, and it will automatically reload that as it's doing the animation for your consumable. I hope this helps and makes you more efficient when traversing the maps and keeps you from dying. All right, guys, for tip number 12, we have used the plate system to your advantage. Now, the plate system is fairly new. You may or may not already know this, but when you have your armor, say you just get done with the fight, you're going to want to check your plates, and you're going to want to make sure that your front plate, because you're more likely to get shot in the front plate than you are the back plate. So you can actually switch these plates around in most armors and rigs. So you actually have to take it off. You can either put it in your bag or you can drop it on the ground, and you can mod it. Inspect, and you can flip it around. If your back plate has more health and durability on it, you're going to want to switch those around until you get out of raid. This will allow you to have more protection, especially when 80 to 90% of your fights are going to be from the front. All right, guys, for tip number 13, understand what stims you should carry and why. Now, generally, I carry 8 stims, but for this purpose, I have separated them into 2 different categories. I separate it into must-have, which is your ETG, your green stim, which will regenerate your health extremely fast. A Zagustin, which will stop all bleeds and prevent future bleeds from reopening for 3 minutes. The Pefetorian will also stop bleeds, and it will heal you slowly over time, kind of like a Propital, without the painkiller effect. The Propital is a painkiller and will slowly heal you over time. The Zagustin and Pefetorian, you can carry one or the other, but I like having both. And as optional as if you can afford to purchase them. Early wipe, they are really expensive on the flea, so you kind of got to maneuver around that and hope you and have the bankroll to be able to afford it. The mule is really expensive, and obviously you can carry more weight with the mule. SJ6 and Trimadol I actually use in conjunction. If I only have a few minutes to extract, I'll hit both of those and be able to extract from the raid. I also carry an SJ12 just in case I run out of food and water. You can hit an SJ12 and slowly maintain water and energy. Another perk to the SJ12 is if you suspect someone has a thermal, you can hit it and it will lower your body temperature and help your odds of it living that raid. My favorite 2 stims of this bunch is the ETG and the Zagustin. Once you get done with the fight, if you have 3 heavy bleeds, You can hit the Zagusted and they're all gone. I hope this helps. Okay guys, that brings us to tip number 14, which is efficiency in looting. There is a quick way to loot, and it will give you less exposed time with being in your inventory. And that's utilizing the control click and the alt click. A lot of players don't know this and they just drag stuff to their body. So let's say you're wanting to loot this scav. You can drag the gun over to your body, sure, no problem, but it takes much more time. So there's, like I said, there's two different things you can do. You can control click and alt click. Alt click will pull the gun onto your body. It will pull it over here. Control click will pull items into your backpack unless it's a mag or grenade, and then they'll come in your pockets and rigs. So control clicks will bring everything into your bag. Alt click will put those on. Let's say, for example, if I want to put this rig on, I alt click, it'll come on my body. You can't alt click something if you already have something equipped there. But that will just make you more efficient in looting. Let's do it again, just to do a little, show you in a little quicker action. Alt click, control click, control click, control click. Say I want to put the Yashanka on. Alt click, control click will bring it into my bag. This will make you much faster when looting and will keep you from dying, hopefully. That scav was weird. Alright guys, for tip 15, this is the most crucial tip that I could give anyone, the best advice that I can give anyone. When you're engaged in a fight with a PMC or AI, you're going to want to think about this camera angle difference. And I'm sure you've heard it before, but we have tip 15, left hand peek versus right hand peek. Now, I'm holding a right hand peek and my buddy is holding a left hand peek. I can see just about his entire body except for his half his stomach and his right leg. He can only see a very small portion of me. Now, what I'm going to throw up on the screen here in just a moment is a side-by-side of this same angle, so you can see the perspective of left hand versus right hand and how much of a disadvantage you are in with a left hand peek. And it works the same way with scavs. If you're trying to hold a left hand peek on a scav, they can see you before you can actually see them. All right, guys. Now here's a side-by-side comparison in the one-time scope. As you can see in the right hand peek, how much of his body that I can see, and in the very same frame, the left hand peek from 11, you can see barely even see me. But just to kind of get a better perspective, we also got it in 6x scope. So the right hand peek up here, you can see how much of his head and upper thorax that I can see, opposed to his left hand peek. You can barely see my right arm, shoulder, and the tip of my head. That is an insane difference, guys. You need to try to take as many fights as you can with your right hand. Now, they did add the shoulder swap, which is somewhere in between, but it's still not as strong as a right hand peek. Please keep this in mind next time you have an engagement with a PMC. That'll do it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. That's my top 15 tips and tricks to becoming a better Tarkov player. I hope you can learn something from this video and become a better Tarkov player because of it. If you enjoyed this video, hit that sub button so you can get notified as I post more videos like this. Also, let me know in the comments what your favorite tip or trick was I do stream almost every day of the week over on Twitch. I will link that below if you want to catch a live stream. I look forward to hearing feedback from all of you. Thank you for your time, and until next time, tip out.